शुक्लां भरतरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्वजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി ഇതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പീടേണ്ടതോറു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Very quick turnaround from Thursday to Saturday. So, I mean, I'll open it up to see, 94, if you all are ready, we can do it. Else, I can totally understand. So maybe Anita, Kritika, can you do half of 94?
பண்ண முடியும்.
Kritika ji, is it okay if I do the first half?
சரி. Okay.
Shaky?
Okay.
Thank you. That's it. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dasakam 94. Tattva Jnanot Utpatti Prakara Varnanam. Shuddha Nishkama Dharmaihi Pravara Gurugira Tatsvarupam Paramte Shuddham Dehendriyati Vyapakatam Vyaptama Avetayante Nanan Twatstaulyakaryashritu Gunajavapus Shankadotyashitam Te Vanne Taruprapedesh Mahadanutāti Tata Shantataati.
And the fourth line after Prabedesh Viva, there is a comma. Fourth line.
Oh, Pravedesh. Okay.
Comma. And third line, Karshyadit. I don't know if that's what you said, but I maybe missed it. Staulya Karshyadit.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Rajesh, can you say the fourth line one more time? Vanne
Vanner, ir,
Vanne
Daru Prabhedesh Viva, comma.
Okay, sir.
So that is one word, right?
Yeah, Vanner, Daru Prabhedesh Viva, 3 words.
Vanne Daru Prabhedesh.
So there is comma after Desh Viva, right?
Yeah,
sir?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Acharya kya tarastarani samanu milat shishya रूपोत्तरारन् यावेदोत्पासितेन स्फुटतर बोधाग्निनादाह्यमाने कर्माली वासना तत् कृततनुभुवन प्रान्तिकान्तारपूरे दाह्या पावेन विद्या शिखिनि च विरते त्वन्मयी कल्ववस्ता एवं त्वत्प्राप्तितोऽन्यो न हि खलु निकलक्लेश हानेरुपायो नैकान्तात्यन्तिकास्ते कृषिवद कदच्छाड्गुण्य षट्कर्मयोगाः दुर्वैकल्यैरकल्या अभिनिगमपताः तत्फलान्यप्यवाप्ता मातास्त्वां विस्मरन्तः प्रसजति पदने यान्त्यनन्तात् विशातान्.
Fourth line, first one, Manita, Mattastvam.
Mattastvam. Okay,
And
sir.
then third line, last word, Phalan Yapyavapta. Phalan Yapyavapta.
Phalan Nyapyavapta. Yes.
Yeah, Tat Phalan in sound. Tat
Phalan.
Phalan
Yes.
Yapyavapta. It's one word, but yeah.
So there is Phalan and then Nyapya too.
Actually, the Phalani Apyavapta, you cannot separate it, but I was just kind of saying it.
Phalan
Yapyavapta.
Okay, sir. Oh, when I split, I cannot split as Phalan Nyapya, but it is
No.
Phalan Yapya. Okay, sir.
Yeah, Phalani Apyavapta. The whole word is one word because it's Phalani Apyavapta, 2 different words. So.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Tvalokat anyaloka vanupayarahito yatpraratatpayante tvatpitas satyalokepi nasukha vasateh patmabuh patmanabha evam bhave tvatarmajita bahutamasam kakatam naraganam tanme tvam chintipantam varada kripana bandhu कृपापूर सिन्धु यादात्या त्वन्मयस्यैव हि मम न विभो वस्तुतो बन्धमोक्षौ माया विद्याधनुभ्यां तव धनुविरचितौ स्वप्नबोधोपमौ तौ
Second is Tavatu Virachita.
तव तु विरचितौ स्वप्नबोधोपमौ तौ भक्ते जीवत् विमुक्तिं गतवती च पिता तावती तावक्तेहो पुङ्क्ते देहद्रुमस्तु विषयफलरसां नापरो निर्व्यतात्मा
जीवन्मुक्तत्वमेवं वितमिति वचसा किं फलं दूरदूरे तन्नामा शुद्धभुक्तेः न चल गुमन गुमनः सोतनं भक्तितोऽन्यत् तन्मे विष्णो गिरीष्टाः त्वयि कृत सकल प्रार्पणं भक्तिपारं येन स्यामंशु किञ्चित् गुरुवचनमिल त्वत्प्रबोधस्त्वतात्मा
The third
शब्द
line, Kritika, third line, Krishishtaha, and the word is.
कृषिष्टाः सप्तब्रह्मण्य बीह प्रयतितमनसः त्वां न जानन्ति केचित् कष्टं मन्यश्रमास्ते चिरतरमिह कां विप्रदे निष्प्रसूतिं यस्यां विश्वाभिरामाः सकलमलहरा दिव्यलीलावताराः सच्चित् सान्त्रं च रूपं तव न निकथितं तां न वाचं प्रियासं यो यावान् यादृशो वात्वमिति किमपि नैवावगच्छामि भूमन् नेवाञ्चानन्यपावः त्वदनु भज मे वात्र्यै चैत्यवैरिन्
The second line, first word, right? And the n sound will go away completely, so it becomes Evan Chananya.
Oh, okay. Bhuman Evan Chananya. Okay. Yat Tvallinganam Twatangri Priyajana Sadasam Darshana Sparshanadihi Bhuyan Mevat Prabhuja Nadi Nudi Guna Karmanu Kirtayada Robi
Yeah.
Kirtyadarobi Yatyal lapyeda tat tava samubahrutam devadasosmi teham tvatke honmarjanatyam bhavadu mama muhu karma nirmayameva suryagni brahmanat madishu लसित सदुर्बाहु मारादये त्वं त्वत्प्रोमार्त्रत्वरूपो मम सतमभिष्यन्दतां भक्तियोगः ऐक्यं तेनान होमव्रत नियम तपः साङ्ख्ययोगैर्दुरापं त्वत्सङ्गेनैव कोऽप्यः किल सुकृति तमा प्रापुरानन्दसान्त्रं भक्तेष्वन्येषु भूयस्वभि बहुमनुषो भक्तिमेव त्वमासां तन्मे त्वद्भक्तिमेव दृढय हर गतान् कृष्णवातालयेश कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
The third line, Bahu Manushe, the word, I think you said Manusho.
Bahu
Manushe.
Bahu Manude. Yeah, okay. Bahu Manushe.
Fourth line, you said Dridaya, it's Dradhaya, Dra sound.
Okay. Dradaya Hara. Okay.
Very good. Both of you agree. Okay, so we'll start with stanza 9 of 95. We'll finish 95 and 96 today. Okay, Radha, you can be a student, and Ravi, you can be a student. Stanza 9. Sarvangishwangarangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapi ekatra yunje badana sarasije sundare mandahase tatralinam tu chetah paramasukachedadvaita rupe vitanvanne anyanno chintayeyam muhuriti samuparudha yogo bhaveyam. So in the last few stanzas, we've been kind of talking, if you recall, talking about how to meditate on the form of the Lord to get liberation. So in that, it says how you have to get seated, where you have to focus. He said focus on the tip of your nose with your eyes not fully closed. And then, you have to imagine a lotus-like form in your heart, the lotus facing up. in which all the worlds are there, and then Narayana Bhagavan is standing in his Chaturbhujam form, in his smiling face, and then in stanza 8, it described the form of the Bhagavan that you can visualize which form, right? So you visualize him wearing the Pitambaram, Chaturbhujam, having all that, the Kaustubam, Srivatsam mark, all of that, you visualize and then you meditate. That is the initial portion of that meditation. And this says, once you are able to get that going, because you are not quite zooming in into every portion of the Lord's body, you're visualizing a full body of Bhagavan. It says the next step of it is once you get that thorough and going, then it says you should be able to zoom in into a portion and just meditate on that portion. For example, you should be able to zoom in into just the face of Guru Ayappan and just meditate on the face of the smiling face of Guru Ayappan, and you should get that going. Once you're matured on that, which could take several months, several years, whatever, right? You have that under control. Then eventually it says you meditate on the Nirguna form of the Lord, which is meditate on the no form of the Lord. Like always remember, Brahman doesn't have any form. So this is all the forms which are taken for various purposes, for various incarnations. And there's nothing wrong in imagining a sattvic form and meditating on it. But here his recommendation is you first do that. But once you mature that, you will be able to meditate on nothingness. That will go for some time. But even when you're meditating on nothingness, you are consciously meditating on absolutely nothing. The next form of that is even to stop the process of meditation. Like we said, dhyana and dharana and dhyana, two different, we saw in the Ashtanga Yoga. One of them is focused meditation on something, and the next one is not even focusing, and your mind is just still, and you are just there, right? And you're not thinking about anything, nothing else comes into your mind, and you're not consciously doing anything either. He says that is the next stage, which is anyway in the Ashtanga Yoga, that was the 7th stage. So he says once you reach that stage, then more and more you are uniting with that supreme consciousness, because you're not consciously doing anything. And then Krishna tells Uddhava, the person who has reached that stage will start seeing Krishna in themselves, and they will also see themselves within Krishna as well, kind of saying that we are all one. Like we talk about the supreme consciousness, which says it's the same Parabrahman who is there everywhere. We are all one supreme consciousness, Mahat. He says you'll start feeling it, right? That I am there inside Krishna. Krishna is there inside me. Krishna is not sitting somewhere separately on a throne or anything. He is there inside of me as well. And so is in every single person that I'm actually seeing. So you'll eventually come to that, and there'll be no difference between anything in this world. So that is the final state of beginning to attain liberation. Sarvangeshwanga rangat kutukamiti, muhur dharayan nisha chittam, tatrapyekatra yunje, vadana sarasije Sundare mandahase. Sarvangeshwanga rangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapyekatra yunje vadana sarasije sundare mandahase.
Sarvangeshwangarangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapyekatra yunje vadana sarasije sundare mandahase. Sarvangeshwangarangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapyekatra yunje vadana sarasije sundare mandahase.
Second line after yunje there is a comma, okay? Second line.
Thank you.
Sarvangeshwangarangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapyekatra yunche vadana sarasije sundare mandahase. Sarvangeshwangarangat kutukamiti muhurdharayannisha chittam tatrapyekatra yunche vadana sarasije sundare mandahase.
Tatralinam tu chetaha, parama sukha Chiradvaita. So that word, if you want to really break it, it is Chit Advaita. So Chit Advaita Roop. Because saying that I'm going to see you in your Advaitam form, right? Not in your non-dual form. So Chit Advaita Rupe Bitan Van, put a in at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the double na, if you have it, that will go away. It will start with the a. Anyanno chintayeyam, comma. Muhuriti samuparudha yogo bhaveyam. Tatralinam tu chetah paramasukachedadvaita rupe bitanvanhe anyanno chintayeyam muhuriti samuparudha yogo bhaveyam.
तत्रालीनं तु चेतः परमसुखचिद अद्वैतरूपं वितन्वन् अन्यन्यो चिन्तयेयं मुहुरिति समुपारूढयोगो भवेयं तत्रालीनं तु चेतः परमसुखचिद अद्वैतरूपे वितन्वन् अन्यन्यो चिन्तयेयं मुहुरिति समुपारूढयोगो भवेयम्.
That on the fourth line, chintayeyam. Adukapram pause, okay? The fourth line.
Okay.
तत्रालीनं तु चेतः सुखचिदद्वैतरूपे विदन्वन् अन्यन्नो चिन्तयेयं मुहरति समुपारूढयोगो भवेयम् तत्रालीनं तु चेतः परमसुखचिदद्वैतरूपे विदन्वन् अन्यन्नो चिन्तयेयं मुहरति समुपारूढयोगो भवेयम्.
That's a 10. Ittam twadhyana yoge sati punaranima samsiddhayastaha durashrutyadayopi ahamikya sampateyurmurare tvatsamprapto vilambhavahamakilamiddam nadriye kamayeham tvamevanandapurnam pavanapurapate pahi mam sarvatapat. So like we saw in the Ashtanga Yoga, when you kind of do all this, of course, you have to go through all of that process. So here it says, once you reach that state of meditation where, you're visualizing nothingness and you're becoming one, you are not even focusing, but it's just automatically just happening. You're sitting still and you're just there, right? So then he says at that point, the Ashta Siddhis will start coming to you. The Ashta Siddhis, like we say, Hanuman has Ashta Siddhi, right? So the Ashta Siddhi is the ability to become small, ability to become big at will, ability to become light, ability to become heavy, and you can just go anywhere you want. So majority of these rishis who are there in the upper worlds, they all have that Ashta Siddhi, which means they can just transport themselves between multiple planets or between multiple worlds without having to worry about anything. So you'll get that ability, that Ashta Siddhi. But here Bhattatripath says, a couple of nice words he's saying. He's saying, Hyaham Ahamikaya, which is, so he aham. So each of the siddhis will come and say, use me, please leverage me, please leverage me. Each of the siddhis will fight for you to use them. But he says what you should do is akilamidam nadriye. He says you should reject all of those ashta siddhis that you're getting. Why should you reject all those ashta siddhis? Because leveraging any of that ashta siddhi is going to be a roadblock towards you getting liberated. Because you remember what Krishna said earlier, if you truly want to get liberated, you should not wish anything at all. You should not wish Indralokam. You should not wish Brahmalokam. You should not wish anything. So similarly, here while the Ashtasiddhis are fighting for you to use them, I will reject every Ashtasiddhi that I'm getting. All I want is Kamayeham Twamevananda Purnam. What I'm going to desire is just devotion and love to you. And by rejecting all those things and just wanting that devotion to you, I will get liberated and become one with you. Right? So that is the prayer which is here. So Pavana Purapate Ugrarapa, please eradicate all the ailments. Itham Tvad Dhyana Yoge Sati, comma. Punar, if you can break it that ra if you want, Punar Animadhyashta samsiddhayastaha, comma, dura shrutyadayopi. So the next word, hyaham, half ha. When you break at that ma, hyaham ahamikaya. So hyaham ahamikaya, comma, sampateyur murare. Ittam twadhyana yoge sati punaranimadhyashta samsiddhayastaha durashrutyadayopi hyaham ahamikaya sampateyur murare.
इत्थं त्वध्यानयोगे सति पुनरणिमाद्याष्टसंसिद्धयस्ताः दूरश्रुत्यादयोऽपि ययम् अहमिकया सम्पतेर्युर्मुरारे इत्थं त्वध्यानयोगे सति पुनरणिमाद्याष्टसंसिद्धयस्ताः दूरश्रुत्यादयोऽपि ह्ययम् अहमिकया सम्पतेर्युर्मुरारे.
Now then the first word, first line, punar animadyashta. You said dyashta, dyashta.
Okay. And the last word another you
Sampateyur murare.
sampateyurmurare.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Iddam tvadyana yoge sati punaranimadhyashtasamsiddhayastaha durasrutyadayovi hyaham ahamigaya sampadeyurmurare. Iddam tvadyana yoge sati punaranimadhyashtasamsiddhayastaha durasrutyadayovi hyaham ahamigaya sampadeyurmurare.
Tvat sampraptau bilambhavaham akhilamidam. So bilambhav, you can break it that ma. Bilambhavaham akhilamidam nadriye, comma, kamayeham, put a plus, kamayeham twame vananda purnam. So like we said, I'm going to reject the, everything that is actually coming, without, because it causes delay. Bilambam is to cause delay. So nadri a, comma, kamayeham twamevananda purnam, and then a comma again. Pavana purapate pahimam sarvatapat. Twatsampraptau bilambhavahamakilamidam nadriye kamayeham twamevananda purnam pavana purapate pahimam sarvatapat.
त्वत्सम्प्राप्तौ विलम्भावहमखिलमिदं नाद्रिये कामयेऽहं त्वामेवानन्दपूर्णं पवनपुरपते पाहि मां सर्वतापात्. त्वत्सम्प्राप्तौ विलम्भावहमखिलमिदं नाद्रिये कामयेऽहं त्वामेवानन्दपूर्णं पवनपुरपते पाहि मां सर्वतापात्.
The last line and the Twame Vananda Purnam, after that there is a comma, okay? I think you were just pausing after Pavana Purapate, so.
Okay.
Patsampraptau vilambhavakamagilamidam nadriye kamayegam tvame vanantapurnam bhavana purapade pagimam sarvadabad. Twatsampraptau vilambhavakamagilamidam nadriye kamayegam tvame vanantapurnam bhavana purapade pagimam sarvadabad.
Shri Krishnaya Parabhramane Namaha. Dasakam 96. Bhagavat Vibhuti Varnanam. Vibhuti is referring to the glory. So the glories of the Lord. So Bhagavat Vibhuti Varnanam. So again, from this 96, 97 is all going to be around devotion, bhakti yoga only. It'll end with 97 talking about Markandeya Charitram in 97, again related to bhakti. Stanza 1. Tvam he brahmaiva sakshat paramuru mahiman aksharanamakaraha taro mantreshu rajnyam manurasi munishutvam bhrigur naradhopi prahlado danavanam pashuchucha surabhihi Pakshinam vainateyo Naganamasyanantah Surasaridapi cha srotasam Vishwamurte. So when you have to, describe how great somebody is, right? We can always speak, if you have to describe anyone, you think of it and say, oh, this person is really good at making sambar or whatever. You pick one identity or characteristics of that person. This person is really good at singing Carnatic music. Okay, you describe that. But when you have to talk about, you have to describe the glories of Bhagavan, how do you describe? Right? Because what is he not good at? Right? Or he or she, for that matter, in this case, Guru Arpan. So she says, because you are Uru Mahiman, you have infinite glory. So you cannot just say in very simply how great you are. So it's always talked in comparison to something to say you are better than the best, right? That's the only way you can kind of talk about the greatness if you have to describe. So that's what he's telling. You are Tvam hi sakshat brahmaiva. You say, there's no doubt, you are that supreme Brahman. There's no doubt about that. You are Vishwamurte. You are the one in which the entire world is contained. Right? Like in Vishnu Sahasranam, it says, Bhupadav yasya nabir vira suranilash chandra surya ucha netre. So all these things, planetary systems, everything which is there is contained already inside of you. So you are the Vishwamurti. Now, when you start telling, it's like no aksharana makaraha. So if I take the alphabets, Sanskrit alphabets, you are A, which is the first alphabet, right? The akaram. So that you are A, which means the best, you are the best alphabet which is there. So that's why Vishnu is also called as, if they say Aha, it is referring to Mahavishnu in Sanskrit. Kaha, the first Ka, and you put Kaha, it refers to Brahma. But Vishnu is Aha, Akha. So in the alphabets, you are Akaram. Taro mantreshu, among all the mantras, you are the Taraha, which is referring to the Pranava mantra, which is the supreme mantra. So among all the mantras that are there, you are Om. You are the topmost mantra that is there. Ragnyam Manurasi, among all the kings or the rulers, you are the Manu, because the Manu holds, is the king or the owner of the entire Bhuloka among all of those planetary systems. So you are Manu amongst all that thing. Munishu, among the sages, there are two sages. There are Raja Rishis and Brahma Rishis. So Tvam Bhrigur Naradopi. So among the Raja Rishis, you are Maharishi Bhrigu, and among Deva Rishis, you are Devarshi Narada, who they kind of refer to the top of each of them. Prahlado Danavanam. Among the Asuras, if you pick people who are born in the clan of the Asuras, you are Prahlada. Because Prahlada is born to Hiranyakashipu, so they are Asura. But Prahlada is one of the topmost devotee and the topmost Asura. So if you say among the Asuras, you are Prahlada. Pashu Chusa Surabhihi. When you talk about the animals, you are Surabhi, which is the wish fulfilling cow. It gives you whatever you want. Pakshinam Vainateyo. Among the birds, you are Vainateyaha. Vainateya is the one who is the son of Vinatha, which is referring to Garuda. So you are the Garuda amongst all the birds. Naganam Asyanantaha. Among the snakes, you are Adishesha, you are Anantha. Then Sura Saridapicha. So among the rivers, you are the holy Ganges. Right? So when you cannot pick each of these things and say you are the best amongst this, and it will go for some more in the next stanza also. So here it's just comparing and saying how we are the superlative amongst each of these categories. Tvam hi brahmaiva sakshat paramuru mahimanne. The double na, first put in mahimanne, comma. Next word will start with the a. Aksharanam akaraha, put a visarga. Aksharanam akaraha, comma. Next line is will go away. Taro mantreshu, comma. Ragnyam manurasi, comma again. Munishu tvam bhrigur naradopi. Tvam hi brahmaiva sakshat paramuru mahiman aksharanam akaraha taro mantreshu ragnyam manurasi munishu tvam bhrigur naradopi.
Rajeshri, the Ragnam Aprima or Kama Aprima Manurasi Kama Vade.
No, Ragnyam manurasi and then comma.
Okay. Ragnam Manurasi. Okay. त्वं हि ब्रह्मैव साक्षात् परमुरुमहिमन् अक्षराणामकारः तारो मन्त्रेषु राज्ञां मनुरसि मुनिषु त्वं भृगुन्नारदोऽपि.
அந்த செகண்ட் லைன்ல தாரோ மந்திரேஷு அதுக்கப்புறம் காமா.
ஓகே. त्वं हि ब्रह्मैव साक्षात् परमुरुमहिमन् अक्षराणामकारः तारो मन्त्रेषु राज्ञां मनुरसि मुनिषु त्वं भृगुनारदोऽपि.
त्वं विब्रह्मैव साक्षात् परमुरुमहिमन् अक्षराणामकारः दारो मन्त्रेषु राज्ञां मनुरसि मुनिषु त्वं भृगुर्नारदोऽपि. त्वं मे ब्रह्मैव साक्षात् परमुरुमहिमन् अक्षराणामकारः दारो मन्त्रेषु राज्ञां मनुरसि मुनिषु त्वं भृगुर्नारदोऽपि.
प्रह्लादो दानवानां कामा पशुषु च सुरभिः कामा पक्षिणां वैनतेयो कामा नागानां, you can break at that ma, नागानां अस्यनन्तः, remove that is, put a visarga comma, अस्यनन्तः सुर सरिदपि च स्रोतसां विश्वमूर्ते. प्रह्लादो दानवानां पशुषु च सुरभिः पक्षिणां वैनतेयो नागानामस्यनन्तः सुरसरिदपि च स्रोतसां विश्वमूर्ते.
प्रह्लादो दानवानां पशुषु च सुरभिः पक्षिणां वैनतेयो नागानाम् अस्यनन्तः सुरसरिदपि च सुरसदिप. எங்க அது காமா? எங்க அது?
அங்க அந்த சுரசரிதபி च, there's no comma there, but
okay. सुरसरिदपि च स्रोत्रसां विश्वमूर्ते.
the third line rather surabhihi, there is a visarga. Okay,
सुरभिः. அப்புறமா காமா.
yeah.
Okay. प्रह्लादो दानवानां पशुषु च सुरभिः पक्षिणां वैनतेयो नागानाम् अस्यनन्तः सुरसरिदपि च स्रोत्रसां विश्वमूर्ते.
प्रह्लादो दानवानां पशुषु सुरभिः पक्षिणां वैनदेयो नागानाम् अस्यनन्तः सुरसरिदपि च स्रोतसां विश्वमूर्ते. प्रह्लादो दानवानां पशुषु सुरभिः पक्षिणां वैनदेयो नागानाम् अस्यनन्तः सुरसरिदपि च स्रोतसां विश्वमूर्ते.
ब्रह्मण्यानां बलिस्त्वं क्रतुषु च जपयज्ञोऽसि वीरेषु पार्थो भक्तानाम् उद्धवस्त्वं बलमसि बलिनां धाम तेजस्विनां त्वं नास्त्यन्तत्वद्विभूतेः विकसत् अतिशयं वस्तु सर्वं त्वमेव त्वं जीवस्त्वं प्रधानं यदिह भवदृते तन्न किञ्चित् प्रपञ्चे. So continuing that, Brahmanyanam, amongst the Brahmanas, amongst people who are devoted to the Lord, you are Mahabali, because we know how Mahabali was so committed, even though he knew this was Mahavishnu, Hari himself, who has come as Vamana. He said, I am going to still give him whatever he wants, and he gave it. So among you are the best, among the Brahmanas, you are Bali. Kratu Shusha Japa Yagnyosi. So among all the sacrifices that you do, you are Japam. Like we said, Nama Sankirtanam or Japam is the best for Kali Kalam. So he says, among all the sacrifices one can do, he says, Japam is the topmost of that, and you are the Japam among the Kritushu. Vireshu Partho, among all the brave men, you are Partha. Among all the heroes, you are Arjuna, who's one of the strongest people. Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam, among all your devotees. Like we said, the top-notch devotee is Uddhava. Like, because Uddhava has been there with Krishna Ever since Krishna came to Mathura, and even before that, Uddhava's mother has been talking to Uddhava about Krishna. And Uddhava never left the side of Krishna till the time Krishna departed earth. Right? And that's how close Uddhava was. There's nobody who's more devoted to Krishna than Uddhava amongst friends. So, where did it go? The Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam. Okay. Balamasi Bhalinam amongst anybody who is stronger, you are the strongest amongst the strongest. And Dama Tejasvinam among everything which is like shining or grand, you are the most shining or that is a superlative comparison, right? But the one question that comes is, anyway, before that he says that you are everything. There's nothing that is not you. You can pick any category, you are the best. So then the question comes, if you are Aksharanam Akaraha, if you are A in the alphabet, what about A, E, U, B, C, D, all of those alphabets? Is it not you? Right? When you say you are the Ganges amongst the rivers, what about Mississippi and Yamuna and Kaveri or Illinois River? Is that not you? Right? So here Bhattripad is saying, we have just said that to say how great you are, but at the end of the day, Vastu Sarvam Tvameva. In what are you not there? Right? Like we said, in the Paramanu, which is the smallest indivisible particle in this universe, you are there. So there is nothing that you are not in there. Right? So that's why he says, Vastu Sarvam Tvameva and Tanna Kinchat Pravancha. Is there anything in this universe where you are not there? Right? Nothing is there. So you are there in every single thing. So this is such an important takeaway, right? The example I give always is, Bhagavan is there in Ganges. Bhagavan is also there in Kuvam. If you know what Kuvam is, that is the filthiest river. It flows in Chennai, where all the sewage gets dumped. Right? So you cannot say Bhagavan is not in Kuvam either. He's there in Kuvam also. He's there in every single place and every single thing. So that is the real takeaway from this that Bhattripad is trying to say. You can always say when you're praising somebody, you can say you are the best, you are the best, you are the best. But the real thing is saying you are there in every single vastu. There is not a single vastu where you are not there. That's how he ends this. So Brahmanyanam Balistvam, Kratushu cha Japa Yagnyosi, Vireshu Partho, Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam, Balamasi Balinam, Dhama Tejasvinam Tvam. So I'll just do one time. I wanted to finish a bit more with halfway. Brahmanyanam Balistvam, Kratushusha Japayagnosi, Vireshu Partho, Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam, Balamasi Balinam, Dhama Tejasvinam Tvam.
Brahmanyanam Bhalistvam Krutushu Japayagnosi Vireshu Partho Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam Balamasi Balinam Dhama Tejasvinam Tvam.
Second line first. Uddhavastvam.
Did I say something else?
Under the double dha sound has to come. Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam.
Okay, thank you. Uddhavastvam.
Brahmanyanam Palistvam, Pabalisthvam, Kradushu Sajaba Egyosi, Vireshu Partho, Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam, Balamasi Balinam, Dhamadejasvinam Tvam.
Nastyantas Tvad Vibhutehe. So put a visarga comma, Vibhutehe. Next on top of the V, if you have a ir, that will go away. Vikasad Atishayam, if you want to break it. Vikasad Atishayam. Vastu Sarvam Tvameva, Tvam Jivas Tvam Pradhanam, Yadiha Bhavadrite Tanna Kinchit Prapanche. Nastyantastvad vibhutehe Vikasad Atishayam Vastu Sarvam Tvameva Tvam Jivas Tvam Pradhanam Yadiha bhavadrite tanna kinchit prapanche.
नास्यस्यन्तस्य
Nasyantas
नास्यन्तस्तत्तद्
tvad vibhutehe.
त्वद्विभूतेः विकसतिशतयम् இல்ல
And otherwise you break it. Vikasat atishayam.
विकसत् अतिशयं वस्तु सर्वं त्वमेव त्वं जीवस्त्वं प्रधानं यदिह भवदृते तन्न किञ्चित् प्रपञ्चे. Sorry, I got a call when you saying that word.
No.
I couldn't concentrate on it.
नास्त्यन्तस्त्वद्विभूतेः विगसत् अतिशयं वस्तु सर्वं त्वमेव त्वं जीवस्त्वं प्रधानं यदि भवदृदे तन्न किञ्चित् प्रपञ्चे.
That's okay. Dharmam varnashramanam shrutipatavihitam tvatparattvena bhaktya kurvantontar virage vikasati shanakai santyajanto labhante satta spurtit priyatvat makila padarteshu bhinneshva bhinnam nirmoolam vishwamulam paramamahamiti tvadvibhodam vishuddham. Like the four the varnashramas that we have, which is you are a brahmachari, which means you are focused on really learning information, you are all that. Then you become a grahastha, a householder. Then you're supposed to once you reach a certain point, you have to, they say, you become a vanaprastha, which means you have to abandon, because you cannot become a complete liberator if you are attached to things, right? So there is that vanaprastha time comes when you're supposed to abandon everything, relatives, things, everything you have, and go. And then eventually you have to become like a sannyasi, which is like not worry about anything, go, not have any possessions, all of that. So when you think of all the varnashramas, and you think of all the caste, which is all of us are really all caste, right? Because we do, whatever Brahmins do, we do what a Kshatriya does, we do what a Vaishya does, we do what a Shudra does, we anyway do everything. So all of these things, anyone, no matter in which stage of their life they are, or no matter which caste or anything they are, the rules still are the same, which is you have to do what your duty is that is supposed to be doing, which is laid out. And then more importantly, you have to dedicate that as part of it to Bhagavan, no matter which stage you are or which status you are. So with that, he says, because of that, by constantly dedicating it, you get the detachment. You don't feel that everything is yours, because that's the problem we all have, is we all feel everything is ours. So you have to reach that point where you believe nothing is mine and everything is Bhagavan's, and dedicate everything, and by constantly doing that, then you get the supreme knowledge, of getting close. Because like we said, Vastu Sarvam Tvameva. So you have to realize that there's nothing in here which is mine. Everything is that Bhagavan's, right? We are just given certain things as tools. So it is to come to that realization and then offer everything back to him because of that. So by that, I'll be able to understand your glory more. Dharmam varnashramanam shruti pata vihitam, tvat paratvena bhaktya, kurvantontar, that's one word, kurvantontar virage, vikasati shanakaihi, putta is shanakais, santyajanto labhante. Dharmam varnashramanam shrutipata vihitam tvatparattvena bhaktya kurvantontar virage vikasati shanakai santyajanto labhante.
Dharmam varnashramanam shrutipata vihitam tatparatvena bhaktya kurvantorvantviraage vikasati shanakai sajanto labhante.
Second is santyajanto
labhante.
Dharmam varnashramanam srudipada vihitam tvatparattvena bhaktya gurvandontar virage vikasati sanakaish satyajanto labhante.
On the word begin in sound, santyajanto.
Satyajanto labhante. Yeah, correct. Thanks, sir.
Satta Spurti Priya Tvatmakam. I'm just breaking at that ma there. Tvatmakam Akhila Padarteshu Bhinneshwa Bhinnam. So that line is continuous, comma at the very end. Nirmoolam Vishwamulam Paramam Ahamiti, comma, Tvat Vibhodam Vishuddham. Satta Spurti Priyatvatmakam Akhila Padarteshu Bhinneshwa Bhinnam Nirmoolam Vishwamulam Paramam Ahamiti Tvat Vibhodam Vishuddham.
Satta Spurti Priyatmaka Akila Padarteshu Bhinnesha Bhinnam Nirmoolam Vishwamulam Paramamhamiti Tatvibodham Vishuddham.
Tatta spurti priyatvatmagamagila padarteshu pinneshva binnam nirmoolam vishwamoolam paramamagamiti tvatvibodham visuttam.
Stanza 4. Okay, so we'll just switch halfway. Shashireka, you can be a student, and Viji, you can be a student. Stanza 4. Jnanam karmapi bhaktistritayamiha bhavat prapakam tatra tavat nirvinnanam sheshe vishaya iha bhavet jnana yoge dikarah saktanam karma yogah त्वयि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्त सक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च धृतरसा भक्ति योगो ह्यमीषाम्. So even in the Uddhava Gita, very similar to the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Uddhava that for humans to achieve that perfection of merging with me, I'm giving multiple paths, and he kind of categorizes who is right for Jnana Yoga, who is right for Karma Yoga, who is right for Bhakti Yoga. He says any person who is very disgusted with all this material life, they're like, what is it that we all want? Who wants the house? Who wants all these luxuries? And they're not attached to any of the material things. They seem very detached from everything that is material. And they're like, you should be questioning who you are fundamentally. Anybody who has that line of thinking innately, that is their personality, they should be considering Jnana Yoga, because that's what Jnana Yoga is. It's a more of an intellectual speculation that you have to go through, and you're not attached to anything which is material things. You don't want anything material, right? Then Jnana Yoga is a right, path for you. There are a lot of people who are like, saying that I cannot give up my family. I'm not able to give up my duties. I still want to know, whatever is coming, I can't say no to things still, right? So when you are in the other end of that spectrum, then they say Karma Yoga is right for you, because what you do is you still have to do your duties. You're still getting things, but you get to a point where you realize what we spoke earlier, that everything that you are getting is Bhagavan. It is coming only because of that Bhagavan. I want to return it back to him. Right? You can enjoy it. You can live in a house, you enjoy what you're doing, but realize it is all that Bhagavan who has given, and return it back, all your actions, all of those things. Such kind of people are right to take on the path of Karma Yoga, because eventually you'll get to a point where you'll renounce everything, right? But that's a good starting point. Anybody who is in between, who's like, it's not like I want a lot of things, at the same time, I also cannot not want everything. I'm in between, right? I'm stuck in that thing. But however, I like to listen to good things about God. I like to chant. I like to pray. I like to do service. All of those people, the Bhakti Margam is relevant for them. It is appropriate. So it's not to say, a lot of places Bhakti says Bhakti Margam is the best because of the simplicity of it. But here he's just telling, Krishna is telling Uddhava, depending on your nature, one of these paths may be the right paths for you. Right? Because you're naturally inclined towards that. So, Jnanam karmapi bhaktis tritayamiha, comma, bhavat prapakam tatra tavat. Put it at the end of that line, comma. Next line you have a double na. One of the na will go away. Nirvinnanam asheshe. You can break at that ma. Nirvinnanam asheshe. Vishaya iha bhavet, comma, jnana yogedhikaraha. Jnanam karmapi bhaktistritayamiha bhavat prapakam tatra tavat nirvinnanamasheshe vishaya iha bhavet jnana yoge dhikaraha.
ज्ञानं कर्मापि भक्तिस्तृतयमिह भवत्प्रापकं तत्र तावत् निर्विण्णानामशेषे विषय इह भवेत् ज्ञानयोगेऽधिकारः
Two times, Pandit. Sorry.
ज्ञानं कर्मापि भक्ति
Sorry. Sajja can do it 2 times, yeah.
Okay. ज्ञानं कर्मापि भक्तिस्तृतयमिह भवत्प्रापकं तत्र तावत् निर्विण्णानामशेषे विषय इह भवेत् ज्ञानयोगेऽधिकारः
ज्ञानं कर्मापि भक्तिस्त्रिदयमिह भवत्प्रापकं तत्र तावत् निर्विण्णानामशेषे विषयैः भवेत् ज्ञानयोगेऽधिकारः ज्ञानं कर्मापि भक्तिस्त्रिदयमिह भवत्प्रापकं तत्र तावत् निर्विण्णानामशेषे विषयैः भवेत् ज्ञानयोगेऽधिकारः
Saktanam karma yogah, that is becomes a visarga comma, karma yogah. Tvayi hi vinihito yetu natyanta saktaha, visarga comma. Napyatyantam viraktaha, again, is, you remove it, visarga comma, viraktaha. Tvayi cha dhritarasa bhakti yogo hyamisham, half ha, hyamisham. Saktanam karma yogah त्वयि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्त सक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च धृतरसा भक्ति योगो ह्यमीषाम्.
திருத்த ரசா விசர்கா வந்திருக்கு என்னோட புக்ல அதை எடுத்துடலாமா விசர்கா
அந்த பா இருக்கிறதுனால when it comes together it won't be there. Yeah.
सक्तानां कर्मयोगः त्वयि हि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्तसक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च धृतरसा भक्तियोगो ह्यमीषां. सक्तानां कर्मयोगः त्वयि हि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्तसक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च धृतरसा भक्तियोगो ह्यमीषाम्.
सक्तानां कर्मयोगः त्वयि हि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्तसक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च कृतरसा भक्तियोगो ह्यमीषाम्. सक्तानां कर्मयोगः त्वयि हि विनिहितो ये तु नात्यन्तसक्ताः नाप्यत्यन्तं विरक्ताः त्वयि च धृतरचा bhakti yogo hyamisham.
Dhrita rasa, the 4th line, the middle word.
Okay, sir.
Answer fine. Jnanam tvad bhaktatam va lagu sukrutavashan martya loke labhante tasmat tatraiva janma sprihayati bhagavan nakago narako va abishtam mam tu daivat bhava jala nidipotayite martya dehe tvam kritva karnadharam gurum anuguna vatayitastharayeta. So, he talks about that in this birth, right? He says the people first who are in the upper worlds of Swargaloka and other things, and people who are in the lower worlds, they all prefer the birth as humans, because they say when you're born as a human, you have access to a level of knowledge and ability to separate things out, which is not available, because when you are in the upper world, your consciousness is so high, but you're so many access to so many things. There are so many other distractions. But they say in human world is relatively the easiest path. So they say all of them want to be born as humans, because that's the way to burn off your karmas, and then also to get access to all these gods, everything that we pray through. But he says but you're born, then, and it's always because of sukrita vashat, because of the good deeds you have performed in your previous life, that you have access to praying and access to knowledge, access to devotion. But what we do is we get distracted with what is there, like we saw in the Kali Yuga, how Parikshit spoke about it. There are so many distractions also. So, we end up wasting the human birth that we have got, which is Durlabham, which Bhattaripada said in the past. So that we end up wasting by not focusing on devotion, not focusing on other things. So he says again, this is more like a prayer to say that, oh, Guru, please put me on the right path, because I've got this human birth after I don't know how many sufferings. I got access to you. So now this samsara, this ocean of samsara which is there ahead of me, I want to get to the other side of it, which is to get liberated. And to do that, you need a boat and you need a driver, right? He says that boat, which is to cross it, he says, my guru, your guru is the pilot of the boat, and the boat itself are the various scriptures and the various Upanishads and Puranas and Vedas available, on which you ride and get to the other side, right? So he's just kind of giving it as a comparison to say that I've got this after so many births, I don't know how many, and I have access to you right now. Don't let that go to waste, right? Don't get me distracted. Jnanam tvat bhaktatamba, lagu sukruta vashan martya loke labhante, tasmat tatraiva janma sprihayati bhagavan, nakago narakova. Jnanam tvad bhaktatam va lagu sukrita vashan martya loke labhante, tasmat tatraiva janma sprihayati bhagavan, nakago narakova.
Oh no. Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Jnanam tvad bhaktatam va laghu sukritavashan martyaloke labhante, tasmat tatraiva janma sprihayati bhagavan, nagago narako va. Jnanam tvad bhaktatam va laghu sukritavashan martyaloke labhante, tasmat tatraiva janma sprihayati bhagavan, nagago narako va.
ज्ञानं त्वत्भक्तदां वा लघु सुकृदवचान् मर्त्यलोके लभन्ते तस्मात् तत्रैव जन्म स्पृहयति भगवन् नागको नारको वा.
In the first line, va, after va, the comma is there, okay?
Where ji?
Tvad bhakta tam va, and then comma. First line.
Okay. ज्ञानं त्वत्भक्ततां वा लघु सुकृतवचान् मर्त्यलोके लभन्ते तस्मात् तत्रैव जन्म स्पृहयति भगवन् नागको नारको वा.
Avishtam mam tu daivat, put a comma, bhava jala nidhi pothayite martya dehe, comma, tvam kritva karnadharam gurum anuguna, if you want to break at that ma, gurum anuguna vathayitas tarayetaha. Avishtam mam tu daivat bhava jala nidhi potahite martya dehe, tvam kritva karnadharam gurum anuguna vathayitas tarayetaha.
Avishtam mam tu daivat भवजलनिधि पोतायिते मर्त्यदेहे त्वं कृत्वा कर्णधारं गुरुमनुगुणवातायितस्तारयेथाः. आविष्टं मां तु दैवात् भवजलनिधि पोतायिते मर्त्यदेहे त्वं कृत्वा कर्णधारं गुरुमनुगुणवातायितस्तारयेथाः.
आविष्टं मां तु दैवात् भवजलनिधि बोधायिते मर्त्यदेहे त्वं कृत्वा कर्णधारं गुरुमनुगुणवादायितस्ततारयेदाः.
Vathayitas tarayetaha.
ओके ओके आविष्टं मां तु दैवात् भवजलनिधि बोधायिते मर्त्यदेहे त्वं कृत्वा कर्णधारं गुरुमनुगुणवादायिदस्ततारयेदाः
Again, Anga, you're adding an extra tha, Viji. Vatayitas tarahetaha.
वादायिदस्तारदेयादाः
Tarayetaha.
तारयेताः
Yeah.
Okay.
Answer 6. Avyaktam margayantah श्रुतिभिरपि नयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्तेतीव सिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगस्त्वामूलादेव हृद्यः त्वरितमयि भवत्प्रापको वर्धतां मे. I'm going to quickly rush through a few of these stanzas meaning. Again, this again talks about karma yoga, it talks about the difficulty of it, right? Like in this case, it talks about the jnana yoga, says how difficult it is for us to kind of imagine something which is very abstract in nature, the Brahman, which is avyaktam, all that it gets complicated, and karma yoga is a little bit far, also very difficult to achieve. I'll talk a little bit in the seventh stanza, but anyway, it again ends saying that the bhakti yoga is much easier and so is a preferred way. Avyaktam margayantah, shruti bhirapi nayaihi, put a ich to join, nayaih, kevala jnana lubdhaha, klishyantetiva, one word, siddhim bahutara janushamant evapnuvanti, short e at the end. Avyaktam margayantah श्रुतिभिरपि नयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्तेतीव सिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति.
अव्यक्तं मार्गयन्तः श्रुतिभिरपि नयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्तेतीव सिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति. अव्यक्तं मार्गयन्तः श्रुतिभिरपि नयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्तेतीव सिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति.
अव्यक्तं मार्गयन्तः श्रुतिभिरभिनयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्ते दिवसिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति.
Second line la क्लिश्यन्तेतीव adukapram comma.
Okay. अव्यक्तं मार्गयन्तः श्रुतिभिरभिनयैः केवलज्ञानलुब्धाः क्लिश्यन्तेतीव सिद्धिं बहुतरजनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति.
On the word janushamant.
जनुषामन्त एवाप्नुवन्ति.
दूरस्थः put ih दूरस्थः कर्म योगोपि च परमफले, नन्वयं bhakti yoga, you put a plus, नन्वयं bhakti yoga त्वामूलादेव हृद्यः, that is you remove, put a visarga comma, हृद्यः त्वरितमयि भवत् प्रापको वर्धतां मे. दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगस्त्वामूलादेव हृद्यः त्वरितमयि भवत् प्रापको वर्धतां मे.
It is Tvarita, right? Tvarita.
त्वरितमयि.
Okay. दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगत्वामूलादेव हृद्यः त्वरितमयि भवत्प्रापको वर्धतां मे. दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगत्वामूलादेव हृद्यः त्वरितमयि भवत्प्रापको वर्धतां मे.
दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगस्त्वामूलादेव हृदयः त्वरितमयि भवत्प्रापको वर्ततां मे.
The hridyah, the fourth line middle word, hridyah.
हृद्यः. दूरस्थः कर्मयोगोऽपि च परमफले नन्वयं भक्तियोगस्त्वामूलादेव कृत्यः त्वरितमयि भवत्प्रापको वर्ततां मे.
ज्ञानायैवाति यत्नं मुनिरपवदते ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पादभक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तेः कराग्रे त्वध्यानेऽपि गतिल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्तचाञ्चल्यहेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्याम्. Little bit continuation of what even Vyasa is mentioned about this, little bit very similar context where he says, even if you like it is, you cannot take devotion out of even the other margas that you are going, even if you are going after karma yoga or after jnana yoga, he says you still have to infuse the devotion, inject it into that. Without it, it's not possible. Like even if you're going through Ashtanga yoga of going through the various steps, we know how hard it is, right? It's difficult to meditate for even 15 minutes or 30 minutes. But to get to Ashtanga yoga, you, like we discussed earlier, you cannot directly start with, I'm going to meditate on nothingness. It's not possible. It's very, very difficult. So even there, that's why in Dasakam 2, it talks about the beauty of the form of Guru Ayappan. Saying when Guru Ayappan is so nice and such a nice form, what is wrong in meditating on that form, on that sattvic form of Guru Ayappan? Eventually, you'll get to a point where you'll be able to meditate on nothing. So even in this, Krishna tells Uddhava to meditate on the Chaturbhujam form. So anyway, that's what he's kind of saying is that without the devotion, none of these things will kind of move you much forward. Jnana yaivati yatnam munirapa vadate, comma, brahma tattvam tu shunvanne, comma, gadham tvat pada bhaktim, comma, sharanamayati, yes, tasya muktihi, put a muktih karagre. So this person who has taken complete surrender, for them the mukti is going to be karagre, at the tip of your fingertips, the tip of your fingers, right? So when you think of Gajendra Moksham, when you think of, when Draupadi called out for help, when you think of, Ajamino Pakyanam, when you think of Ambarisha Charitam, when you think of all these, the reason all of these devotees are sprinkled all over is to realize that you have that people who go through that margam, Bhagavan came to help them at an instant, right? Because they had completely surrendered themselves to Bhagavan. And then when they call, Bhagavan is there to help them out, right? So for such people, the mukti is at the fingertips, right? Because they're just so devoted and completely surrendering themselves. So when you have that, why do you want to go through the long, winded, complicated path of all the other margams? Jnanayaivati yatnam munirapavadate ब्रह्म तत्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पाद भक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तिः कराग्रे.
ज्ञानायैवाति यत्नं मुनिरपवदते ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पादभक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तिः कराग्रे. ज्ञानायैवाति यत्नं मुनिरपवदते ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पादभक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तिः कराग्रे.
ज्ञानायैवादि यत्नं मुनिरपवदते ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पादभक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तिः कराग्रे.
In line after that Tvatpada Bhaktim, there is a comma, okay?
Okay. ज्ञानायैवादि यत्नं मुनिरपवदते ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तु शृण्वन् गाढं त्वत्पादभक्तिं शरणमयति यस्तस्य मुक्तिकराग्रे
त्वद् ध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुखरथा, चित्त चाञ्चल्य हेतोः विसर्ग, next line the ra will become a. Abhyasadaashu shakyam, tadapi vashayitum tvat kripa charutabhyam. त्वध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्त चाञ्चल्य हेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपा चारुताभ्याम्.
I have it as Vasa. Is it Vasha?
Vashayitum, andavada?
Vasha, yeah, it's not Vasa.
No, not Vasa. Vashayitum.
Okay, like the Shivasha.
Shivasha, yeah.
Okay, let me just quickly make that. Okay. त्वध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्तचाञ्चल्यहेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्याम्. त्वध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्तचाञ्चल्यहेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्याम्.
त्वध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्तचाञ्चल्यहेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्याम्. त्वध्यानेऽपीह तुल्या पुनरसुकरता चित्तचाञ्चल्यहेतोः अभ्यासादाशु शक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्याम्.
The fourth is shakyam kapram, comma, and then the rest of the sentence comes together, okay?
Okay.
Alright, we'll try to finish 8, 9 and 10 today, the text. So one time we'll do it. And then if we have time today, I'll tell the meaning of it, because the 9th and 10th are long stories which are embedded. Otherwise, we'll continue in the meaning in the next class. Nirvinnah, put ih, nirvinnah, karma marge, khalu, vishamatame, tvat katadau cha gadham, jata shraddhopi कामानयि भुवनपते, नैव शक्नोमि हातुम्. निर्विन्नः कर्म मार्गे खलु विषमतमे त्वत्कथादौ च गाढम् जातः श्रद्धोऽपि कामानयि भुवनपते नैव शक्नोमि भातुम्.
निर्विन्नः कर्म मार्गे खलु विषमतमे त्वत्कथादौ च गाढं जातः श्रद्धोऽपि कामानयि भुवनपते नैव शक्नोमि हातुम्.
निर्विन्नः कर्म मार्गे खलु विषमतमे त्वत्कदादौ च काडं जातः श्रद्धोऽपि कामानयि भुवनपते नैव शक्नोमि हातुम्. निर्विन्नः.
And the word shaknomi.
Okay.
Naiva shaknomi hatum. Okay. One time Pornamiji. We'll just do it once. Tad bhuyo nischayena, tvai nihitamana dosha buddhya bhajam sthan, pushniyam bhaktimeva tvai hridaya gate, mankshu nankshyanti, ing sound and half iksh, nankshyanti sanghaha. Tadbhuyo nischayena tvai nihitamana dosha buddhya bhajan stan, pushniyam bhaktimeva tvai hridaya gate, mankshu nankshyanti sanghaha.
तद्भूयो निश्चयेन त्वयि निहितमना दोषबुद्ध्या भजं स्तान् पुष्णीयां भक्तिमेव त्वयि हृदयगते नङ्क्ष्यन्ति सङ्गाः
तद्भूयो निश्चयेन त्वयि निहितमना दोषबुद्ध्या भजंस्तान् बुष्णीयां भक्तिमेव त्वयि हृदयकदे मंशु नङ्क्ष्यन्ति सङ्गाः.
third line நிச்சயேன அதுக்கப்புறம் காமா. ஓகே, the third line.
Okay.
Stanza 9. Kaschit klesharjitartha. Say the word again. Klesharjitartha shaya vimala matihi. Put a visarga comma matihi. Next, on top of the nu, there is a ir that will go away. Nudyamano janaugaihi, comma. Pragevam praha vipro na khalu mama janaha, comma. Kala karma grahava. Kaschit klesharjitartha kshaya vimala matihi. Nudyamano janaugaihi. Pragevam praha vipro na khalu mama janaha. Kala karma grahava.
कश्चित् क्लेशार्जितार्थक्षयविमलमतिः नुद्यमानो जनौघैः प्रागेवं प्राह विप्रो न खलु मम जनः कालकर्मग्रहावा
कच्चित् क्लेशार्जितार्थ क्षयविमलमदिः नुद्यमानो जनौकैः प्रागेवं ब्राह विभ्रो न खलु मम जनः कालकर्मग्रहावा.
Cheto में दुःख हेतुः, that is goes away, visarga comma. तदिह गुण घनम भावयत सर्वकारी long e put a plus युक्त्वा शांतो गतस्त्वाम comma. So one comma after dukkha hetuhu, then the whole thing together, gatastvam comma. Mama cha kuru vibho tadrushim chitta shantim. Cheto me dukkha hetuhu tadiha gunaganam bhavayat sarvakari tyuktva shanto gatastvam mama cha kuru vibho tadrushim chitta shantim.
चेतो मे दुःखहेतुः तदिह गुणगणं भावयत् सर्वकारीत्युक्त्वा शान्तो गतस्त्वां मम च कुरु विभो तादृशी चित्तशान्तिम्.
चेदो मे दुःखहेतुः तदिह गुणगणं भावयत् सर्वकारीत्युक्त्वा शान्तो गतस्त्वां मम च गुरुविभो तादृशीं चिद्दशान्तिम्.
Answer 10. Ailaha, put a F, Ailaf pragurvashim pratyati vivasha manaha, comma, sevamanash chiram tham, comma, gadham nirvidya bhuyo yuvati sukhamidam, comma, kshudrameveti gayan. ऐलः प्रागुर्वशीं प्रत्यति विवशमनाः सेवमानश्चिरं तां गाढं निर्विद्य भूयो युवति सुखमिदं क्षुद्रमेवेति गायन्.
Is it I love? So what you said? I love?
I love.
Okay. I love pragurvashim pratyati vivashamanaha sevamanaश्चिरं तां गाढं निर्विद्य भूयो युवति सुखमिदं क्षुद्रमेवेति गायन्.
I love pragurvashim pratyadi vivashamanaha सेवमानच्चिरं तां गाढं निर्विद्य भूयो युवति सुखमिदं क्षुद्रमेवेति गायन्.
त्वत् भक्तिं प्राप्य पूर्णः, comma, sukha, that long, next word is long, but I'm going to break it into multiple parts there. Sukha tharam, that ma you break it, tharam, acharat tadvad udbhuta. So sukha taram acharat tadvad udbhuta sangam, comma, bhaktotamsam kriyamam, comma, pavanapurapate hanta me rundi roghan. त्वद्भक्तिं प्राप्य पूर्णः सुखतरम् अचरत् तद्वद् उद्धूतसङ्घं भक्तोत्तंसं क्रियामां पवनपुरपते हन्त मे रुन्धिरोगान्.
त्वद्भक्तिं प्राप्य पूर्णः सुखतरमचरत् तद्वद् उद्धूतसङ्गं भक्तोत्तंसं क्रियामां पवनपुरपते हन्त मे रुन्धिरोगान्.
त्वद्भक्तिं प्राप्य पूर्णः सुखतरमचरत् तत्त्वदुत्तूदशङ्गं भक्तोद्दंशं क्रियामां पवनपुरपदे हन्त मे रुन्धिरोगान्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. So I'll just check. Do you guys have like another 5-6 minutes, or does anybody have to drop?
We're good, thank you.
Okay,
I
so I'll just continue with the meaning of the 9 and 10. It's a little bit long because there's stories embedded in that. So in the ninth one, Krishna tells Uddhava as part of Uddhava Gita, he tells that if you're truly devoted, right, then you might be ridiculed by people, you might be insulted by people, and people are going to say all sorts of things, right? But you should still keep your determination fixed. Don't worry about what others are thinking. So Uddhava says, but Krishna, it's easier said because your mind is so difficult to control, right? So how do you kind of make yourself strong? So, the Krishna says, let me tell you a story. And then he tells him the story of a Brahmin who existed long time back. That Brahmin also had a lot of money, but that Brahmin was one number stingy person that he never used to give like a cent or even one coin to anybody, right? So he used to just accumulate all this wealth. He wouldn't even give it to his family. He wouldn't give it to his wife. He wouldn't give it to his children and all of that stuff, right? So anybody went and asked him for help, he never used to help them out because he felt all this money was his. One point, what happens is over a period of time, his money gets robbed, he loses money and all that. Essentially, he's lost all his money now. So he's lost all his money. And now he's at a point where, nobody wants him or nobody cares about him because he never took care of anybody in this thing. So at this point, it's very easy for the Brahmana to think all of this is fate. All of this is because of something. I do not deserve this. We all start a little bit of why is this happening to me, right? Why do I deserve this thing? Why this always happens to me? Or is this maybe fate? Is this because of all these things? So he kind of goes through all of that process. But later on, he kind of says, none of this is because of anybody or anything else. All of this is because of myself, because my mind is what is thinking this is bad for me, right? My mind is the one who I have to control. I don't have to worry about what somebody else is telling. I don't have to blame anybody else for anything else. I don't have to blame the fate. I don't have to blame the planetary systems or the grahas. It's just all of that is my mind. If my mind thinks this is good, then nothing else can change it, right? So he kind of comes to the thing that this is whatever is coming your way, this is what Bhagavan has wanted for me, and this is what it is. And don't try to justify why something is happening or why something has happened. So he kind of gets into that state. And once he got into that state, then he was happy. He didn't worry about anything what anybody else was saying. So Krishna is telling Uddhava, you have to reach that state because only then, no matter what incident happens to you, or no matter what somebody else is telling, no matter what somebody else is believing about you, it should all be irrelevant, right? Because you should be able to believe in what it is, that this is what Bhagavan wants. So that is one example that Krishna is giving Uddhava. Then the second one, so that is called as, I forget the name of that. I know it's called as, it's called Bhikshu Gita, because that Brahmana becomes a beggar. So he's going around taking bhiksha from everybody, right? And that's when he comes to the realization, I was such a rich person, I'm now going and begging for alms, right? So he comes to that realization. That's called as a Bhikshu Gita, where this Brahmana is singing or he talks about how mind is what is extremely important to control. That is the first one. Then the second one is, it's a very an interesting story. There was a, in the clan of Aila. That's why it's Aila. But it comes. There was a king called Puruvara, Pururava or Puruvara. So that Puruvara, he's a very big king, right? So he has access to Deva Lokam. So he goes and asks Urvashi from Indra. He says that I want Urvashi to become my wife. So Urvashi says, I'll become your wife on a few conditions, right? One, it says that the Urvashi has a pet. It's a pet sheep or something she has. So she says, one, my pet has to always be taken care by you. You cannot let my pet go. That is number one condition. The number two condition Urvashi has is when we are making love, because she's going to be married to him, she's going to be with him. When we are making love, when we are naked, essentially, you should not see me. That is, there should be no light, right? And you cannot see me when we are making love or when I'm naked. Those are the two conditions that Urvashi puts. So Purvara says, okay. And then Purvara and Urvashi live together for a really long amount of time. One day, what happens is, when they were making love, the sheep, whatever she has, runs away. So what does this Purvara do? He has to run after the sheep, because if he doesn't catch the sheep, then Urvashi is going to go away. So he runs on the street chasing that sheep, and he's a king, and he's stark naked, right? So everybody is out there, laughing at him, looking at him, saying, look at this, the king is running naked and running after a sheep. What has the king come down to, right? So they cannot do this. And at that time, he comes back, and then he also sees Urvashi naked. So Urvashi says, that's it, I'm done. My sheep went away, you saw me naked, and all of these things, I'm no longer going to be with you. That's when he comes to a realization, saying, how is it that I'm not able to control my senses even so much that I've gone down to such a low level that as a king, I'm running on the streets of my kingdom naked, running after sheep, right? And all of this is because I have not been able to control my senses. I don't even have that much control over my senses, right? That I accept all this and I end up doing it, right? So that's when he then comes to a realization, right? And then he goes and says, God, I'm giving up. This is very similar when we saw the lessons from the 24 gurus, 25 gurus. I was talking about one of this prostitute who was there, who doesn't get any customer that day. And she also comes to a realization saying, what am I doing here, right? Doing this thing. Why am I getting attached to all these things? So similarly here, this Puruvara also comes to the realization, and finally he gives up everything, gets his senses under control, and then he starts, going into meditation. Anyway, so that is the second story that is being told there. It's called as the Aila Gita because it's coming from the clan of Aila. So that's a Bhikshu Gita and Aila Gita. Both of these are embedded into that. And with that, Bhattacharya says, so Guruvapa, please help me control my desires and then give me supreme devotion towards you. So I don't, fall for these things. So all these are examples for us to take from, right? Of people, how they have slipped off, right? And then come to a realization. Anyway, so those were the last two stories in the 9th and the 10th stanzas there. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet next Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, did
Thank you,
anyone,
Thank
Mrutula,
Sorry, Anita.
Mrutula, sorry, sir. Mrutulaji, sorry, I came late on Thursday, sir. Did anyone talk to you about our last class up to your place, sir? Like,
Yeah. No, I think we discussed. So, Namanda, let me just put in the poll. Let me get a final count. Okay. And I was telling the people, don't worry about food, but if you want to bring
Yes.
something, we can plan. I'll add Vishali temporarily in the group to discuss food logistics, but don't worry too much about it. But we can, because you all are going to be coming early as well, right? So
Right,
we'll
sir.
figure
We
out.
were thinking accepting with what Mrutulaji proposed to, saying like prasadam and pray and have fun with you and come back. Not bother Vrishali in any way.
It's not going to be a lavish feast. I can assure you that. So don't worry.
Okay,
It's
sir.
going to be a very simple food only. We'll figure something out. I'll put it in the group.
Rajesh, just so you know, it's also Mother's Day weekend, so don't make Vaishali work.
Yeah, that was in our mind mainly, sir. Right. I
Thanks
think
for reminding that.
May
Yeah.
11th, though it is a calendar day, right? Like every day is Mother's Day, I keep saying.
Exactly. That's how it is.
But then it's calendar, still more preference has to be given. More preference, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.